This is Operation Logic Bomb for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1995 courtesy of Jaleco. This is an overhead shooter where you control Agent Logan, a genetically enhanced super soldier of sorts, who has to infiltrate a research facility where an experiment with interdimensional travel has gone awry, because of course it does. And you are charged with the task of rescuing the scientists from their otherworldly adversaries. None of this is conveyed in the wonderful box art that Jaleco has graced this game for its North American release, and I shall be making no further comment on this matter moving on. Operation Logic Bomb has you navigating these mazes and fending off against a group of enemies transported from other dimensions. Much akin to a beat-em-up, clearing the current wave of enemies will open up a path forward, where you will encounter the next wave of enemies, and this cycle continues until you reach this pod, which you can then destroy to clear the map of enemies and restore the location to its proper dimension, i.e. removing all the hexagonal things that you see scattered about. And then you move on to the next map by standing on these teleporter things. Now along the way there are also terminals that you could only access when they're active, and these terminals will either give you a map of the level you're on to show you where you are, as well as exits that you could get to, restore your health to maximum, the only health pickups you could get in this game, or even provide you with video cutscenes to give you further background into the events transpiring at this moment. There are also occasional boss battles you'll have to fend off, and you'll have to do all of these with only 3 tries. There are no passwords or save features, but these aren't necessarily needed for reasons we'll get into soon enough. Agent Logan begins the game with both a standard machine gun and a spread gun. You can switch between the two at any time and both have unlimited ammunition. As you progress through the game, you'll gain additional weapons such as a rebound laser and the classic flamethrower. All these weapons have their own uses, strengths, and weaknesses, and surviving Operation Logic Bomb is dependent on proper use of these weapons. You'll also acquire holographic decoys and mines that will launch a stream of explosions in the direction you're facing. These weapons and tools are introduced as the situation calls for them, and you even get a brief video on how they work so you know what to do with these. Basically, if there's an obstacle you can't overcome, a force field to overcome, or a target that's out of range, an upgrade is probably just around the corner. This is what makes Operation Logic Bomb a fairly straightforward game. It looks like a game that could be fairly open-ended and with a bit of exploration, but really isn't. You fight a block of enemies, you clear those away, you gain access to a new area on the map where a new block of enemies will attack, and the cycle continues until the end of the game. There are times when you'll get a little lost looking for the next teleporter panel that will take you to the next segment in the game. Some maps have multiple exits that will take you back and forth. But sooner or later you'll find your way, and those cleared maps will never respawn enemies because you've purged them of their dimensional deficiencies. Control setup's not that complicated. Your Y and B buttons serve as attack buttons, while X and A cycle weapons for each button. And the L and R triggers allow you to aim one way and move the other, useful for nipping at foes from certain angles. Shouldn't take long to figure out. The controls are tight, responsive, and work well in a game like this. The key issue I have with Logic Bomb is its length. It's a relatively short game that shouldn't take you more than an hour tops to complete, and by the time I was done, I was like, that's it? That's the whole game? I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised that the game's quite short. Like I said, there's no password, there's no save feature of any kind to be found here, and you only have 3 continue credits to resume the action. But it felt like just when the game was picking up steam, once you got all that equipment, the decoys and the mines and the flamethrowers and stuff, all of a sudden it's over, and I don't know, I guess I was wanting more and I didn't get more, and now I'm sad. Yeah, this game fucking sucks. The graphics in Operation Logic Bomb are top-notch quality 16-bit goodness. There's some nice detailed characters with relatively smooth animation. Some of the bosses benefit from Mode 7 effects. The interior computer centers are appropriately high-tech, and the few exterior zones are also nice with its parallax and such. I particularly like the effect of the dimensional shifting that takes place during certain segments. The outdoor segments, for example. Those are really well done and do a fine job of emphasizing the interdimensional nature of the world you're traversing. Now admittedly, there's a bit of a sameness in the indoor locations, and the crab bosses you fight are, well, they're somewhat giant enemy crabs that look all the same somewhat, but hey, it's a fine looking game regardless. The audio is also pretty solid. Only a handful of music tracks occupy the soundtrack, but they're fairly good tunes for the most part. Sound effects comprise your usual stock explosions and the occasional creature noises, which aren't too bad, but not really much more than that, I guess. Operation Logic Bomb is a fine little game with some neat ideas and solid execution that unfortunately does not go as far as it could have gone. The whole game feels like it's just a base, a sampler, a teaser if you will, for a much bigger, much grander experience that never really comes around. But what's there is actually pretty fun stuff, well done, and I could say that while it's been brief, Operation Logic Bomb delivers the goods where it counts, and it's one worth checking out.